You think it's over. You think because the judge signed a piece of paper and the lawyers shook hands that the war is done. Listen to me. The war has just begun. But the enemy isn't her anymore. The enemy is that weak, pleading, sentimental man in the mirror that she just fired. She looked at you at the man you had become, and she handed you a pink slip. And the worst part, you're still trying to get a good performance review on your way out the door. You are in a state of psychological freefall, and you're calling it healing. You're calling it grieving. Let me tell you what it really is. It's a broadcast. You are broadcasting weakness, desperation, and chaos to the entire world. In this moment, right now, this is the forge. This is where you will either be reborn from the ashes, harder than steel, or you will crumble into a pathetic dust pile of memories and regrets. You are losing, and you don't even know it. So let's get one thing straight. Throw out the books your mother bought you. Fire the therapist who's getting rich by telling you to be vulnerable and talk about your feelings. That is the language of surrender. I am not a therapist. I am a strategist. I am here to arm you with the brutal biological truth. Attraction is not a choice. It is a primal, involuntary response. And right now, you are triggering nothing but disgust and pity. I'm going to show you the game they don't want you to see. First, we have to deconstruct the architecture of your failure. You are losing because you're running the same failed plays over and over again. The first mistake is the most pathetic, the closure charade. You tell yourself and everyone else that you just need one last talk to understand. Let me be clear. You are a beggar, on your knees, pleading for a crumb of validation from the very person who declared you emotionally and sexually bankrupt. You are performing a live autopsy on whatever microscopic amount of respect she still had for you. This neediness is the final confirmation she needed. Closure is a myth sold to the weak. The only closure you need is the sound of you slamming the door on your own past. Next is the sin of the modern feminized man, the public grieving performance. You post sad song lyrics. You share inspirational quotes about pain and growth. You become the sad divorced guy at parties, turning your private agony into a public spectacle. You are fishing for pity, and you will get it. Women will tell you you're so brave for sharing, but they will never ever feel a flicker of raw sexual desire for you again. Pity is the chemical opposite of attraction. Your ex sees you wallowing, and it reinforces her narrative that you were weak. A new woman sees you performing your grief, and she doesn't see a sensitive soul. She sees a broken thing, a project, a liability. You become a charity case, not a contender. You have confused emotional incontinence with strength, and it is killing your sexual market value with every post. Then there's the classic ego-driven blunder, the revenge rebound. You hit the dating apps with the desperation of a starving man at a buffet. Your entire mission shifts to racking up a body count and making damn sure your ex-wife hears about it. You post pictures with younger women, thinking it screams, "Look what you're missing!" You are a terrible poker player. This isn't a power move, it's a tell. It reveals your entire hand, that your self-worth is so fragile, so utterly dependent on her opinion, that you need to frantically patch the gaping wound in your ego with the bodies of other women. High-value women smell this stench a mile away. They know you're using them as a tool, and they will avoid you. You will attract only the broken and the chaotic, women who are drawn to your drama because it mirrors their own. And your ex, she sees it and smirks. You haven't evolved. You are still that same predictable, validation-seeking boy she left. And the final strategically catastrophic error, the nice guy financial suicide. Out of guilt or a diluted sense of chivalry, you roll over in the divorce settlement. You don't fight. You give her more than she deserves because you hope she'll remember you as a good man. You are a fool. You are not buying peace, you are funding her next chapter. You are paying for the comfort of the man who will replace you in her bed. You are subsidizing the life that you were kicked out of. She will not see it as noble. Her lawyer will not see it as noble. They will see it as weakness, an opportunity to be exploited until you are bled dry. By signaling that you do not respect your own future, your own resources, or your own survival, you teach her that you are not a man to be respected. You are simply a utility to be drained. So you've seen the problem. Now we talk about the cure. This is not a list of suggestions or a friendly chat. This is your new doctrine, unbreakable rules for your resurrection, and you will follow them as if your life depends on it, because it does. Your first move is not complex, but it will be the hardest thing you've ever done because it requires the one thing you've lost: absolute self-control. You will enact a scorched earth policy. Effective immediately, you go completely dark. Radio silence. You block her number. You block her on every social media platform. You purge her from your digital existence. All communication about assets or children is handled through lawyers or a sterile court-mandated app. Zero emotion. No how are yous, no birthday texts, no saw this and thought of you, nothing. You are amputating a gangrenous limb before the infection kills you. Why? Because you are severing the emotional leash she has had wrapped around your neck for years. Your silence creates a void, a vacuum. And the female brain, on a primal biological level, is hardwired to obsess over the unknown and the unavailable. Your absence becomes a question mark she can't answer. Your silence is not weakness. It is an active, deafening display of power. It screams, "My life not only continues without you, but it is so focused on my mission that you no longer occupy any space in it." You will take that reclaimed energy and you will obey the second rule. Transmute your pain into physical power. Stop poisoning yourself with alcohol and garbage food. You will take every ounce of rage, humiliation, and despair, and you will carry it to the one place that can recycle it, the gym. You will lift heavy, brutal iron until the voice in your head screaming her name is drowned out by the screams of your muscles. This is not a fitness journey. This is an act of alchemical warfare. You are forging a new body because a man's body is the physical resume of his mind. A powerful physique is a billboard that broadcasts discipline, resilience, and dominance. It is a primal signal of competence that bypasses her rational brain and speaks directly to her ancient reptilian wiring, the part of her that is involuntarily drawn to a man who can protect and provide. A strong body is the most honest signal you can send that you are a man on a lethal upward trajectory. I had a client, Mark, a 42-year-old accountant, soft in every sense of the word. His wife left him with the classic line, "I love you, but I'm not in love with you." Translation, "My vagina has dried up for you." Mark spent 6 months playing the victim. Then he came to me. We put him on a diet of iron and meat 6 days a week. He channeled every moment of his divorce rage into the deadlift. He didn't just lose 50 pounds. He chiseled himself out of the pathetic cocoon he had built around himself. About 6 months later, he ran into his ex-wife at a grocery store. She didn't even recognize him at first. When she did, her face was a mask of pure shock. The ghost she left was gone. This man was solid. His shoulders were broader, his jaw was sharper, his eyes burned with a focus she had never seen. He gave her a polite, indifferent nod and kept walking. The look on her face wasn't pity. It was a toxic cocktail of confusion, regret, and a flicker of renewed, terrified attraction. He won the war by refusing to fight. While you are forging this new body, you will rebuild your empire in absolute silence. Your mission, your career, your business, your investments, this becomes your new obsession. You become a ghost to the world and a titan in your work. You are the first man in and the last man out. You take the project no one else wants. You start the side hustle you've been dreaming about for a decade. Your singular goal is to become so dangerously competent and so financially formidable that you make your old self unrecognizable. But here is the critical part. You do it in the dark. You don't post about your wins. You don't update your LinkedIn. You don't flash your success. You let your achievements become a rumor, a whisper that eventually reaches her ears from a third party. A man's value in the brutal hypergamous world is his competence. By disappearing and then having your success reemerge as undeniable fact, you create an aura of mystery and raw power that no boast ever could. And as you build, you enforce the final rule. You will become a ruthless gatekeeper. Your time, your energy, your attention, these are now your most valuable assets, and access to them is a privilege, not a right. Audit your social circle. Anyone who co-signed your weakness, who told you to be the bigger person while you were being fleeced, they are cut out immediately. You will then intentionally build a new tribe, a brotherhood of ambitious, dangerous men who hold you accountable. Seek out men who are better than you. A man is the sum of the 5 men he spends the most time with. Raise your average. This creates a powerful signal of pre-selection. Your value is judged by the company you keep. I worked with another guy, David. When his wife left, his entire social world evaporated. She was his social planner. He was lost. Instead of chasing new women, he chased excellence. He joined a high-level business mastermind group. He started training jiu-jitsu. He was building a new tribe, brick by brick. A year later, a mutual friend posted a photo of David and 4 other men at the summit of a mountain. He looked lean, strong, and genuinely happy. Free. His ex saw it. She sent the inevitable text, "Looks like you're doing great." The old David would have replied in 3 seconds, desperate for the validation. The new David left her on read for 2 days. Then he replied with 2 words, "I am." No emotion, no questions. A simple, powerful, frame-holding statement of fact. He was no longer a moon orbiting her planet. He was the sun in his own solar system. This is the path. It is not easy. It is fire and iron. But on the other side is not the man she left. It is the man she was never good enough to deserve. So this is where you stand, at a crossroads in the ruins of the life you thought you knew. There are only 2 paths forward from here. There is no third option. Down one path is the ghost, the man defined forever by a woman's rejection. He haunts his own past, replaying memories, begging for pity, growing weaker and more bitter with every passing year. He dies a slow, spiritual death, forgotten by the world and eventually by himself. Down the other path is the architect, the man who sees the rubble not as a tombstone but as the foundation for a new monument, a monument to his own will. He takes the pain, the betrayal, and the fire, and he uses it to forge an empire of discipline, power, and absolute self-respect. He becomes a force of nature. The man you were is dead. He died the day she decided he wasn't enough. The only question that matters now is, who are you going to build from his ashes? The ghost or the architect? The victim or the victor? The choice is yours. And make no mistake, she's watching. They are all watching. But you're not doing this for them. You are doing this because your self-respect is screaming for it. You are doing this because the man you were born to be is demanding to be set free. Go and build a life so magnificent that she questions her own reality for leaving it. Be the man she fears losing, not the one she pities. The work starts now.